state of Missouri releases some graphic video from Texas showing inmates being handled rather roughly, and they say it's not necessarily a case of prisoner abuse. It all takes place last March in a privately run jail. Officials say the brawl began when guards tried to calm an uprising. In the first sequence, guards then, we'll see them turn the hoses on inmates, and then another, there we go, another shows an inmate taking a swing at a guard and then getting beaten. And later on the tape, you see a guard spraying a handcuffed prisoner with a fire extinguisher. At the end, a prisoner is about to throw a TV set at a group of guards. Missouri officials say this tape shows the use of force was justified. Now, this has nothing to do with the violence that had been caught on camera in another Texas jail. That incident led Missouri to pull out more than 200 of its prisoners. Also making news around America tonight, medical students in Albany hold a special vigil paying homage to dozens of people who donated their bodies to science. The ceremony included a poem saying the students knew the cadavers' brains, but not their thoughts. Even some relatives of the donors attended the strange funeral. Medical schools say these ceremonies, though, are becoming more and more common.
10 years after a railroad car exploded and burned, a jury in Louisiana awards some huge damages. Nearly 8,000 people who say they suffered mental and physical injuries will split $3.4 billion in punitive damages. 5 companies were ordered to pay portions of the award, with CSX Transportation knowing the biggest chunk. Now, the defense calls the award outrageous and promises to appeal.
People in Des Moines, Iowa got quite as shocked this morning when they looked up at the state capitol. The state flag, there it is, upside down. Now, at sea, a flag flying upside down is a recognized sign for a vessel in distress. Well, that is acceptable protocol, but on land, it's the equivalent of a political protest. The Iowa State House, though, says it was just a simple mistake.
Parents of teenagers may not believe this, but experts on their behavior insist your kids do hear you. This even though parents are tempted to think they're being ignored. In fact, the most comprehensive survey ever of American adolescents shows just the opposite, that the more teens feel loved by their parents and comfortable in their schools, the less likely they'll be to have early sex, to smoke, abuse alcohol or drugs, to be violent, or even commit suicide. And these findings are apparently true regardless of family income, race, or whether they come from a 1- or 2-parent home.
On tonight's Health Beat, a new survey shows women may not realize the risk they face from cardiovascular disease. A survey shows only 8% of women know that heart disease and stroke are their greatest health threats. Instead, pollsters say women are far more worried about cancer. The Heart Association says cardiovascular disease kills more women each year than the next 16 causes of death combined. We're at that time of year when blood supplies are always critically low. Fortunately, this time, Connecticut's Red Cross is getting help from Hartford's Men in Blue. The blood drive is inspired by a veteran officer, Rob Davis, who for the past 2 years has fought non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, an often deadly form of cancer. Well, he's ended chemotherapy now and transfusions and a bone marrow transplant and made his way back to active duty.
We thought for sure that, we would never see him again.
He's just been in our thoughts and our prayers, and I know that, he was overwhelmed when we approached him to use his name for this cause.
Hartford police hope to donate at least 200 pints of blood by the end of the month to celebrate Officer Davis's return.
Nice to see him back on the beat. Straight ahead on the Night Beat tonight, Hilton will have the complete 5-day forecast, which takes us through the weekend. We'll see if it'll dry up by then.
And then to sports, what does Michael Jordan know about the world of fashion? 2 local stars and the most famous athlete in the world are teaming up in a mega marketing deal.
But first, some more election results from Connecticut's news station.
And the Night Beat continues on kind of a damp and slightly muggy note. Let's check current conditions at the Channel 3 New England Weather Service. 64 degrees the temperature, the dew point 58 degrees. It feels a little bit moist outside. On the shoreline, Milford has 64 degrees, but a dew point of 61. So just on the border of being muggy, especially along the shoreline. Your statewide temperature is 52 degrees at the Torrington Country Club in Goshen, 61 in Waterbury, 64 in Milford, 64 in Hartford, and 58 at the Yukon campus at Storrs. And we'll put our radar echoes into motion. You can see that we've got some precipitation out to our west. Looks like most of the support for this wet weather will remain to our west through the next 24 hours. What does that mean? It means we're looking for showers developing, occasional showers Wednesday night into Thursday. Not a real good beach day, but the reason I'm talking about the beach and the shoreline, heavy surf advisory from that hurricane, Hurricane Erica, which is way out in the Atlantic Ocean, but it's causing rough surf all the way back to New England. Here's your forecast in detail. For tonight, cloudy, some fog and drizzle around, overnight lows 57 to 63, and for tomorrow, a mostly cloudy day. Chance of a late shower developing 68 to 73, and our 5-day planner shows occasional showers for Thursday and Friday. Saturday, a partly sunny day, and Sunday, partly sunny. Temperatures beginning to warm up as we go through the weekend, so let's hope we can get into the weekend on a dry note after some needed precipitation.
Your timing looks great on that weekend, Hilton.
Let's just hope it holds.
All right, let's do that then. Thanks.
And one of the nation's top television journalists, Ed Bradley of 60 Minutes fame, was in Hartford tonight, addressing a convocation at Trinity College. Bradley recounted some of his experiences covering world hotspots such as Vietnam and the Middle East, and he also raised questions tonight about current U.S. defense spending, especially for the B-2 bomber, which he says was originally developed to meet the threat posed by the old Soviet Union.
Well, the Cold War is over. What are we going to use these planes for? Where is a better appropriation of those billions of dollars? The Soviet Union is gone. Russia is no longer the evil empire, yet we're still pouring tax dollars down this sinkhole.
Bradley says even the Pentagon itself has argued that it doesn't need and cannot afford the B-2.
Time now for sports, and something tells me that Joe is going to start with baseball. What do you think?
Well, of course, when the Yankees and Red Sox are playing, Denise, playoffs or no playoffs, the rivalry moves onward. This time, plenty of offense. And remember Courtney Alexander, Jim Calhoun said, we don't want him. But wait till you hear which college hoop coach does want him. Plus, Michael Jordan with a new look. Could this possibly be his next calling? Ray Allen and Vin Baker are on board with a hearty yes. It's Sports Fashion 101. NightBEAT Sports is next. If the New York Yankees are to collapse and not make the American League playoffs, they would need to continue their unacceptable and unexplainable losing ways. Tonight in Boston, the Red Sox welcome the role of playing spoilers. Classic rivalry looking to finish up a forgettable season at Fenway. And here's the big news. David Cone pitching before the game. They need him back if the Yanks truly want to defend their world title. Huge 5-run fourth inning for the Sox. Rookie Nomar Garciaparra, big part of it. Sets the Major League record RBIs by a leadoff hitter at 87. But the Yanks come back, 6-2 deficit. They come all the way back into sixth. Jorge Posada, the double to deep center, off the wall, 7-6 Yanks. They scored 5 runs in that inning, thus your final 8-6. David Cone, 15 minutes of pitching before the game, no pain reported. Philadelphia Phillies Hall of Famer Richie Ashburn died early this morning. He was 70. He had broadcast the Phillies-Mets game last night. Ironically, after wrapping up his great years in Philadelphia, he finished his career with the Mets. So tonight at Shea, they honored Richie, the #1, the Black Band, and the moment of silence. As for the game, Dave Malicki, the strikeout of Scott Rowland, 8 strong innings, 8 Ks, but Tyler Green up for the challenge, 9 strikeouts for Tyler. The only spark of offense came from Connecticut's very own Rico Bronya. In the 8th, rips into it to deep center. And check out the scoreboard because Newington's Ricky Bottalico gets his 29th save, 1-zip Philly. Acceptance into the National Hockey League's Hall of Fame requires a 3-year wait after a player's retirement. That's unless your name is Mario Lemieux. Today, the former Penguin great was elected to the Hall immediately. Well, UConn said no, but Fresno State has said yes to Courtney Alexander. The former Virginia hoopster who was convicted of assaulting his girlfriend is transferring to Fresno State. Fresno State is coached by Jerry Tarkany. The Sharks seems to embrace situations like this. Today in New York, it was time to show off the future of Michael Jordan. Jordan is now starting his own line of sportswear. This isn't just a sneaker endorsement. This is brand Jordan with its very own runway-style fashion show. He has signed up 4 college teams, including St. John's of the Big East, and he has handpicked 5 NBA players to represent his line. Connecticut's very own Ray Allen and Vin Baker have the honor of being 2 of the 5. Watch out, Calvin Klein, sports style in New York, and here in our sets, hairstyle. Hello, Denise.
It started with my...
Looking coiffed and wonderful. Did you change something from the 6 o'clock show till now?
Moi?
Yes.
A little bit of a change.
Absolutely fabulous.
So do you think those Michael Jordan fashions will come in extra tall sizes? I bet you he'll think of those tall
I think they can fit those in, don't you, Al?
Extra tall?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure he can.
Some guys
I
would wear
think
that
he
size.
would.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All number 23s, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Stay with us.
We'll be right back. We have an update now on one of tonight's primaries that we didn't have the final results on earlier, the primary in New York.
Yeah, you should know that Ruth Messenger is now officially the top vote-getter in New York City's Democratic mayoral primary, but she narrowly failed to get the 40% needed to avoid a runoff, so there's going to be one. She'll face her closest rival, and that is the Reverend Al Sharpton, in 2 weeks. So here we go again.
Thanks for joining us for the Night Beat. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Have a good night.